Hello, my beautiful private eyes, and hello, everyone. Hope you are well. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I got church bells ringing in. Where's my lotion? Oh no, I moved it. I can't put my lotion on today. Oh, I've got it. All right, you guys, we are going back to Hawkins County to Little Summer Wells case for part 2 of my call-in tip. So the first time I called in on the Summer Wells case was yesterday, and I talked to TBI, and I went over everything that I shared, and what that tip was about was Summer Wells' jacket that is laying in a memorial box that should be taken in for evidence, as we discussed previously, because it would be one of the last things that she had on in her last proof of life. So, welcome to 1111 True Crime. We're handing over the chat today, the live chat portion, to our beautiful PIs. As you can see, our little logo, incognito. He disappears, right? Now he's back. Good to see everybody. Hi, Nina. Hi, Allison. Let's get over to our members chat. How is everybody? Debbie Gazzardo, how are you? Rach, not that Rach. Jennifer, Zozo. Hope I get everybody. Let me clear it and see if I can scroll up in case I miss someone. There's a lot of you here today, so I want to get going right away and dig into the conversation that I had with Greeneville. So you're like, why would you be calling Greeneville? Oh, Carla, you're not feeling well, love? I send you love and healing, and hello, love. I hope that you improve. Start feeling good. Hello, Allison Lovely. So, if you are one that has been following this case from the get-go with Summer Wells, you and I both know that not everything is being looked at the way we would like, right? To say the very least. So, I don't even know how to break into this, so we're just going to jump over to PowerPoint, and I'm going to try to break this down for you. A few weeks ago, I'll come up to this screen for a minute. A few weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I did a live on Summer Wells, and I talked about Van Hill Road. As we know, the feds, the FBI, the TBI, Hawkins County had about 15 cars, and they were all parked over there on the 3500 block of Van Hill Road. And they came out and they made a statement, if you will, that that's where they were indeed. I love this lotion. So today, you guys, I'm using peppermint lavender. This is Jersey Girls lotion. It's wonderful. I do carry it in my store. It's raw goat's milk, and it's lovely, darling. It's for very sensitive skin, and it really helps on healing eczema, so I love it. And I am going to be sending out, already started, sending out with every single order that you guys place over at our shop at 1111dex.com. I'm sending a sample of that lotion and our Milkmaid's Creation goat milk soap, so you're getting a little sample of both. So that's awesome, right? But back to Summer Wells. So after I talked to TBI about the jacket, which please go watch yesterday's live. In fact, I'll give you an idea of what that thumbnail is. And you can then see right here, over here, this is the thumbnail. You can see the memorial box. You can see Summer Wells' jacket in it. It's all there. So yeah, go watch that live, because I do think that that is a very, very important. While I had him on the phone and I was talking to TBI, I said, okay, so now it's not really a tip, it's more of a concern. And I expressed to the TBI lady that my concern was that in my research of Summer Wells' case, it had led me as well onto Van Hill Road in a different venue than the feds had went. And that on that road, there was a campsite that's all men's. Only men can go there. And that it's a homosexual site. You have to be a member, allegedly. And they don't let females in, and that it's private property, and that they have a lodge, and that it's quite large. And I said, and that's all well and good, to each his own. But I said, in covering the Summer Wells case and discussing that specific location, I began after I released that live to get an extraordinary amount of emails from locals that are assuring me that children are welcome there. They're alleging that all children can come there. And I'm like, to this location where it's supposed to be private, and they're telling me that nobody mans it, nobody is keeping people out or in, that's just what they tell people, but that people can come and go as they like, and that indeed children are present. And that's so alarming when you read the reviews of the place, the public reviews, that share witnessing and alleging witnessing very explicit, detail, actual say in Pig Latin encounters, intimate encounters in the open, like at the pool and so forth, and that they were witnessing these things. And my concern is that why would a child be allowed there? That's just crazy. And then in the back of my head, I said it's also concerning because I'm over onto Van Hill Road in my research, mainly because Don Wells, the father of Summer, got his DUI on that road, right in that location, that specific location, that it's across the road directly from the location that the feds are at, like across the street. Not like, oh, you go across the street and down this road. It's the next, like you cross the road, you're on that property. And then Don Wells crashed the red Subaru on that area right there by this campsite, and that Paul Hill allegedly had to give him a ride home. And I said, it's just so concerning that we have this whole attitude of, that the locals are saying that place is just like a free-for-all behind private gates. And I have a lot of concern for children in the area. And I'm also concerned because if Don Wells paid a $20 fee, he would have membership and have access to the hundreds of acres that are attached to this campground that go way back into the mountains just across the street from that Paul Hill address or the 3500 block. And that for the $20 he paid as a membership, he could easily deposit remains back in there. And because it's private property, who would be searching? So she said that I needed to report my concerns directly to the Greeneville Sheriff's Department because they would be able to address those concerns and investigate if they so chose. And so I said, oh, okay. So I called, I looked it all up. I got the information for the Sheriff's Department for the Greeneville County. And I called up and I got dispatch. Dispatch transferred me over to one of the detectives. And I had about a 40 to 45 minute conversation with him. And I learned so much. So one of the things I'll go back over here for chat for a minute for you. And I'll bring up all the conversations. So let's just share some of the thoughts everybody has. Hi, Allison. Said, please stick your fingerprint on the thumbs up and support this amazing channel, Private Eyes. They're watching you. Yeah, and this is a clothing optional location. Timmy Cruz, you're feeling better, love. Good to see you. Welcome back. So glad you're feeling better and joining us again. You were missed. Hi, Claire. You say evening. Good evening, you adorable bunch of humans. Indeed, indeed. Hello, love. So, in this, I was kind of like, what did I do? I grabbed the wrong screen. Why is that doing... Hold on, y'all. It shouldn't be doing that. It shouldn't be doing that. That shouldn't be doing. I don't know what's going on in them screens, but it could make us glitchy if we have stuff running in the background. So we've got to make sure I shut it all down right. Hey, Zozo. Good to see you, love. So him and I have this conversation, and I give him my spiel about everything I just told you about this campsite. He's familiar with it. He goes, I know the place really good. I said, so first off, I do want to say, I understand where you're coming from. So a lot of the locals are telling you that children are allowed there. So how do they know that? How do they know for sure children are allowed there? Do they know themselves, or are they hearing that somewhere? He said, here's why I'm saying it. He goes, I don't know if you know, but we're part of the Bible Belt. And I'm like, I do know that, and I'm very familiar with the Bible Belt. I grew up in Arkansas on the Bible Belt. And some of you are like, what is the Bible Belt? Well, it's kind of like a four states. So I know it's Tennessee. I know it's Arkansas. It's not Oklahoma, I don't think. I can't remember all four states of the Bible Belt, but they're very, very religious, and their majority is Baptists, and I happen to be a Baptist. And so in this, he said, they're extremely against alcohol, extremely against drugs, very much do not believe, okay, let me put it this way a little better. They believe it's like a crime of morality to be sexually orientated to your same sex. Okay? Did that make sense? I'm trying to be sensitive for you too. And so they're a collective. Oh, they're not a cult, they're a religion, but they're a collective of entities that even demand that no alcohol be sold in their county. And so that's where you get the dry counties. Like where I grew up in Arkansas when I was with my dad, that was a dry county. You could not find alcohol, not one place. And yet we could go a couple counties away into Oklahoma and you would be able to buy alcohol, which... that doesn't make sense to us. Why you could go two places over and get alcohol, but you can't buy it in your own county, but that's the Bible Belt. They're very, very religious. In that, he's basically saying, could the people that are communicating to me that this place is allowing children have the ulterior motive to just wanting the place shut down, and so therefore they would even go as far as to not necessarily spread rumors, but to spread rumors to put it in more of a negative light, to cause them problems and get them out of there, because the Bible Belt people want this place shut down. They see it as a very wicked location. Now, you know me, I am spiritual, not necessarily religious. I do not go to the Baptist church. I am spiritual. But I do believe Jesus is my Savior. It is not my intention to just cause them problems, but I do have concerns about children being at those facilities. So then he asked me, here comes the truth chain. he asked me a question. I'm trying to remember how all it went about summer, like how long I had been, studying the case. And I said, well, since the get-go, because I had lived in Tennessee, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was familiar with a little bit of the culture and so forth. But we got to talking, and I said, I don't understand. I don't understand what's so attractive about this, clothing optional, all men's place in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere. So let's look at this place together. We'll go over and I'll show you a little bit, because you may not have seen that other video. And let's go here. Now, Killer Looks is the one that did all the work on this, so please give that channel some love. But if you were on Van Hill Road, which we're looking at right here, you can see up in here, right? You've got Fred's cousin, meaning Fred Hill's cousin, Fred Hill's uncle, because right there is the 3500 block of Van Hill Road. And then the person, Killer Looks, has tagged it for recent search. And then you have this light colored area here. It says the Lodge. And the Lily Lid murders took place right over here, which is even a different case. It's just so wicked, it's unreal. It borders a ritualistic type assassination of a family just to gain their vehicle for a short time and discard it. It's really, really disturbing. So in that, these are some of the things that we shared that were public on the website itself about this campsite that is clothing optional, men's club only. And I also shared their events, and it is shocking. But as you can tell in here, they go on to say not only is the place smell horrible and is not clean, that you can't find employees. The gate is broken. Look at this. The gate is broken, so you can just come and go as you want, which is actually pretty convenient since there are never any employees around to help. They did build a playroom, quote unquote, which can be a fun place. And they talk about how broken down hot tubs on the porch, that it's just in complete disarray. The next person goes into much more details and talks about witnessing a BJ at the pool, right out in the open, that nobody talks to them. They saw some other explicit Palm Springs bathhouse scenes and so forth on this property. And the lodge is buried back on this private property of this campsite. And you have to be a member to get to the lodge. So he said he knew all about it. And we, like I said, we discussed, about this idea that children are alleging, that locals are alleging that children are permitted, and that all you got to do is pay $5 and you get extra beds. And I'm like, that is so concerning. And I expressed to him my concern. I said, so basically you have a situation where you have private property that if a child were taken back behind the scene, behind the private wall, and let's just say some nefarious things went on there, and I have a delivery, please forgive me, but if nefarious things went on there, and I said, and something went wrong with the child and they needed to discard, we have, let's go back over, look at the vast forestry that they own, that they could deposit a child And you'd never find them unless you had probable cause, right? He brought it up. He said, yeah, we'd have to have probable cause to get a search warrant to be able to go in there and look. I said, but it's across the street from Van Hill Road where they're doing an investigation. And if the locals aren't wrong, what if the locals are right? And he said, well, it is disturbing. Because this right here, you guys, blew my mind. And this is where him and I started really getting into a conversation where I felt like I was just talking to one of you, because he was also starting to have his eyes opened a little bit to at the same time, him and I were like, OMG, all right? So he said, yeah, that's really concerning, yeah. He said, especially when thousands, let's do the goat, our mascot, PIs, are you ready? Billy the goat. Thousands of people go there every summer, all men, from all over the country. He said they're out-of-staters. Thousands of out-of-staters go to this location. Now, you guys, I said to him, what's the attraction? Just because they can slide off their clothes? Why are thousands of people going to this said location in the middle of nowhere on Van Hill Road in Tennessee, where it happens to be the Bible Belt and nobody wants them there in the first place? Or a lot of them don't. Why are thousands of people? And he said, what's worse yet is, he said, if they are doing something, how would we track them when they're there and then they're gone? So I said, that really gets me, because for me personally, I've always had a concern of what happened to little Summer Wells. I said, Don Wells had his DUI right there, like right there, in a mile of that place. He also crashed his red Subaru on Van Hill Road. Paul Hill allegedly gave him the ride home. So why is Don Wells haunting that area? Why is he revisiting it? Then the detective said, well, we've always wondered from the very get-go, one of our things that we suspected the most. He said, let me back up. He said, keep in mind, Greeneville and Hawkins County are right side by side. And he said, from the very beginning, the get-go, that Greeneville was involved with the Summer Wells investigation. And I'm like, really? He said, yes. Because they are side by side, it crossed over. And I personally was thinking, maybe because of Van Hill Road, right? Why else would they be in Greeneville? So I said, wow. And he said, and you're not far off, because we all, from the very beginning, suspect that the little girl could have been sold by these parents. And I said, so let me just kind of play this back in perspective of what's going on. I said, we have the suspicion, me, you, and a lot of other people, that Summer Wells could have been sold by the parents. So who are the buyers? I said, and why is Don Wells finding himself again and again and again on Van Hill Road, right next to this campground? When you have thousands of people from out of state that are so attracted to this out of the way little place. Let's get a bigger picture of it. Thousands of people, okay? Let me show you this little place. Let's just roll with it, all right?
Also, I met not Frank, but his brothers on my motorcycle. We were searching for that other girl that got gone.
See the
and
lodge?
That's when
It's
I met
actually
them, and
way
we got
back up
talking,
in here.
him and his wife, and they decided to go one way and I went the other because I had a dirt bike and they had horses. And
This is
TBI
that
just
property.
used him in to search for Summer a few times, and he's helped try to find Summer.
Okay, let's mute Don. He don't say nothing worth the value. So let's jump ahead a little bit. If you keep going on this road, you get to the lodge way, way, way in the deep, deep woods. Okay? So let's go out here. You can see this property. Thousands of people. And then it's got all this land right here. And then it goes down the road. And if we were to keep going down this road a mile, you're at Paul Hill's house on the other side of the road. See right here. This is right here where the recent search was. Here's the lodge, as the guy's calling it. So, whoops, you guys hit the wrong screen button. So we both were like, that's really concerning. Why are thousands of people showing up at that area? If Summer was sold, could a customer have come from out of state? And I would suspect a male over a female in purchasing. They don't necessarily need to be a homosexual to stay there. They only need to be a male. And so I want that place watched because it's behind private property. Thousands of people are going there with the intention of experiencing explicit sexual events. Every event they have is wrapped around sex. And I find it highly concerning. You've got Don and Candace allegedly grooming Hunter and other young men. Why? Are they renting them out? Do they, you had Jody Sue talking about how all the rugs were being sold to the Wellses in order to help the children sleep while bad things were happening. Could Summer have been sedated in the milk video? And she was sleeping and being taken to that location? I'm just asking. Could she be sedated here? Like Jody Sue implied. Now, you wonder, how far away is this place? 10 miles from Candace and Don's house. 10. That's it. 10. Welcome, Wendy G, to Private Eyes. Hello, my lovely. Somebody's watching you. Oh, yeah, Carla, I hope you do feel well. We love you, dear. We love you. Oh, I hope it's not. Oh, but you are starting to feel better. That's good. Yeah, Zoe. Thousands. He told me thousands. He said okay, wait. Then I said, so how familiar are you with the place? Have you been there? He said, oh, yes, I've been there many, many, many times on a call. He said, it's always for ODs and aggressive behavior. He said it's a very rough situation behind there. And I'm like, Why is that place being allowed to be run this way? Yes, it's new owners since 2022, right, Wendy G? New owners. And those new owners blocked me on everything when they found out I was a female. Yes, welcome, Wendy. Thank you, Rach. So it has me very concerned. We now have a location that's 10 miles away from Dawn and Candace. I'm hearing directly from the detective of the Greeneville Sheriff's Department that they suspected in the very beginning that this child may have been sold. And I'm looking at the situation going, Dawn Wells seemed to really be drawn to this specific location. So I say to the gentleman, I say to the detective, how do we know? I'm just asking a question, because we got comfortable with each other. I said, how do we know that Don Wells, if he was wanting to sell her, didn't rent her out at that location to some out-of-towner and it went awry, and that they just didn't deposit her remains somewhere in that completely forested mountainy area on private property where it's highly unlikely anybody's going to find her without knowing to look for her and having a search warrant. And he said, that's a good question. And that's where we kind of left it. I'm not going to get into the details of forward plans. He gave me some information of forward activity of what he would think that they would pursue in different avenues and so forth. And I was very pleased with what I heard. But we should not discuss that live. We never know who's watching. Oh, I love you more. Thank you, Carla. Who, Wendy? Do we know who, Wendy? What? What did Wendy say? Did I miss something? Can the health department shut it down? That's a good question, Jennifer. I think you'd have to be a local to make the calls. I think you would have had to be there. Oh, thank you, Rach. Oh, hit the wrong button. Don't forget to show your Mama D you love, your appreciation by smashing the like button. Thank you, Muchly, with sprinkles on top. Thank you, Rach. Yes, Carla. Yes. That is what they suspect. He made it very clear that is what he and those he worked with truly are thinking may have happened to Summer. They are suspicious that she was sold. I said, so you don't feel there could have been an accident that they covered up? He said, I'm not saying that they didn't have an accident and cover it up. He goes, I'm just saying our first go-to and the strongest indications are that this child may have been sold. And I got to thinking, and I was like, oh my God, this, right? This. Just days before Summer went missing, jumping in front of the for sale red barrel. Oh, baby. I just want to scoop her up and get her out of there right now, right? Bet Smith says, Bet Smith, yeah. Tennessee is the home of Jack Daniels, but you can't drink it in that county. Shaking my head. That's true. It's dry. Oh, my chat is frozen solid. Oh, boy. I may have to close it. Can I close it? I don't want to have to close it. Okay, we'll wait. All right, we'll use our secondary chat. There it goes. V Slims I am. Welcome to Private Eyes. Your teacher is outstanding. I don't know why that's on there. That was at the end of that video. I do find it strange. This is something that was on Killer Looks. He was able to infiltrate their website, and indeed this is their website. Right here is the name and the icon of the place he was visiting, and I'll show you a little bit about that.
We should share that information.
Vroom, vroom. Wah, pa, 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 zaddy. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Wah, pa, 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 zaddy.
We all know what pandas mean, so I told him about that. I said, my concern is, yes, it could be a very young man in his 20s, and maybe that's why he doesn't have any chest hair. I said, but it's so alarming because pandas represent to a lot of us pedos because of the black eyes that kids get from being SA'd. I said, and this dude's got a panda head on. He doesn't have any chest hair, and he could be a teenager, an underager, a minor. I said, I'm so concerned now that I know that thousands of men go there with their mindset on the sexual part of this. It's not just camping. They could go anywhere to camp. And I'm sure it's not just being able to take your clothes off for all of them. There is a sexual overtone to every single event that this place has. It's the mindset of a sexual encounter. 10 miles down the road, we have a missing little girl that has her head shaved. Is it so that as she's transported out, people might think she is a boy? You feel me? Like, easier to get away with taking a boy out when they're looking for a little missing girl. There's so many questions I have. Yes, so, oh, poor Summer, beyond heartbreaking. It's horrifying. Yeah, I've got all the info on the new owners, but I'm not going to, and I don't want their names in chat. I don't want the owners' names spoken. That is not for us to broadcast, so we'll leave that alone. But the Red Barrel, right? The Red Barrel. Yeah. Let me go over to that. It's just so heartbreaking. I know, V Slums, it's very scary. And I didn't realize how much the hypothesis that Summer may have been sold, like, held water until I talked to the detective from Greeneville Sheriff's Department. And he said that is where they lean, right? Yeah, the panda freaks me out too. Remember the mention of the bike. What, Allison? What about the bike, honey? Normal people, right, Wendy? You're right. Normal people don't want that on their website. They do not travel in their thousands just to bloody camp. Thank you, Zozo. Thank you. I agree with you. Right, if she's a little boy and they're looking for a little girl. Poor Summer, she never had a chance. Everyone failed her. Correct. You are so right, Carla. So then, if Somerset left at the end of the driveway and it's suspected that a vehicle drove her and that she was sold by her parents, allegedly. Well, Somebody asked me if I knew if Summer Wells' aunt went missing as well. Yes, 2009, Rosemary Bly, and she would have been missing just a few, like hour and a half away, maybe 2 hours from where I am. I've like deep dived into Summer's aunt that is missing. But this all information of that, we go then to this thing. Let me find the red van. Was it before I talked about that or after? Okay, it was after. So back when Summer was still with Dawn and Candace, they had a vehicle. It was a red van, and it ran just fine. We have plenty of pictures and so forth of Summer and of Candace in the red van. When TBI came to do their search of the red van, so I'll show you the van first. Let's do that. This is the red van, right here. This is the red van. Now, if we look into the red van, it goes missing the same time as Summer, which is concerning enough. But what's even weirder is that after Dawn and Candace left to Arkansas and then came back from Arkansas to Ben Hill, so did the red van. Miraculously, it appeared. So when we hear rumors that TBI found the red vehicle they're looking for, could it have been the red van they were looking for? Could this red van, because Jody Sue explained that this vehicle, is this the one with Prayer Garden, or is this the one? Neither. Okay. Oh, here's the one with Prayer Garden, I think. Let me see. No. Did I lose the one with Prayer Garden?
Yeah, no.
Got it. Okay. So Prayer Garden is explaining the red van was there. She even has done the homework to go find where Candace is in the red van. She's driving the red van on the highway. Summer's in her car seat in the red van. Now Summer goes missing. That red van is gone. It comes back 3 years later on the property. Just a year after that is when all of a sudden TBI, FBI, and Sumner, Hawkins County all hit Van Hill Road up, right? And it's alleged through rumor that they found the red vehicle they're looking for. I'm wondering, could the red vehicle not be the truck, but actually be a van? Because Jody Sue talked about how the vehicle was a dull red, not a shiny new red, but an older dull red. That's the van. Number two, she talked about as the vehicle, Jody Sue said, as the vehicle went up the driveway, it didn't go all the way to the top, but that it was struggling, right? It was laboring to make the climb, not like the other vehicles that just boom, boom, boom went up. Well, this is an older vehicle. It would definitely labor going up. So at this point, could the red van have been used to transport Summer that was sleeping from Ben Hill Road to somewhere else? Maybe a campground for some out-of-town buyers, if you feel me. The panda was pretending to be on a bike, making revving noises, and Dean mentioned searching dirt bike. Searching dirt bike. I'm not sure, Ellison Lovely. I always come back to this case hoping that Summer will be found. Me too, B Slims. Me too. And good to see you again. And welcome to our PIs. We appreciate you. Yeah, you guys are doing really good. Thank you for hitting the like. So, with him explaining that came from the detective, that thousands of people every summer, men, let's keep it real, thousands of homosexual men are flocking to, let's go get a picture of the place, because please tell me what is absolutely so amazing that you will drive across the country. Let me get an aerial view. What's so amazing that you'd be willing to drive across the country and come from outside the state to this location just so you can run around with your tally hanging out? There's more to it. We both know it. And if they suspect the child is sold, then that must be something that occurs, is the selling of that. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Jennifer says, V Slims, I know I'm conflicted with that too. I think now I'm resigned, maybe unaliving would at least take her out of torture so that she can be with God. That's why I said I couldn't bring it all to you yesterday, because it just shreds you. It just shreds your emotions. It makes you feel that kind of way where you're just like, is there any hope? Right? Peace, Slims. Thank you, lovely Mama D. I love your videos. I was watching some of your older videos last night. Well, thank you, lovely. Beth Smith says, it breaks my heart too. Mine too. Mine too, love. Mine too. Want to thank my beautiful private eyes for this lovely chat. We're going to try to do it again next Saturday like we did last Saturday. I enjoy our private eyes so very much. When you become a private eye, you are a rookie to start with. And then you move up the ladder, as they say. It's all for fun. There's no rank really. But eventually, after 2 years, you become a major. And I just want to say I thank each and every single one of you from the bottom of my heart for your support and your continued support of Summer Wells as well. I don't ever leave this case. I'm always working behind the scenes. Summer has got a special place in your heart and mine, and Matt Detectives, and the others too. Unfortunately, I don't have a great deal of hope if she was sold that we'll find her, so I'm very concerned. I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to say some serious prayers and continue to say them for Summer. I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I love you to the moon and back. Now, you guys that are going to continue over with me, those that like to do the pendulum reading, we're going to do the pendulum reading over on Crime Story Mama. We're switching cases. Yes, we are. I've got all my stuff ready for Jack and Lily Sullivan. And we're going to try, no guarantee, but we're going to attempt, because it works so well with Summer. It took us right here on Van Hill Road. It took us right to this campsite when I did the pendulum reading of Where is Summer. The pendulum reading took me exactly to Adam Montgomery's, in Harmony Montgomery's case, to Adam Montgomery's old apartment, which led to biological evidence being found in a fridge that was used in the case against him that locked him up for life. So take my pendulum readings very, very seriously. I have printed over 12 maps everywhere from the Bay of Fundy to their home to all kinds of places in Nova Scotia, in hopes, no guarantees, but hopes that we're able to shine some light on where Jack and Lily Sullivan may be. I invite you to join me over there, and if not, I will see you again very soon. Love you. Bye for now.
From the dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, My enemies will think they won, but I'm here to stay. Destiny will overcome. No, I am not afraid. Like a thief